Yes.
I'm glad there's somebody I can go to when things are not going so good for me. And there's been times in my life, man, things didn't go so good. But I found that my Lord's always been faithful. He's always been true. Do you love Him this morning?
Yes.
Amen.
Let's give Him a hand clap. Do you love Him? Amen. Glory to God. Amen. Long time ago, far away, there lived an emperor. And he was a good emperor. He was a good leader, a good ruler. But as he looked over his kingdom, he realized that he was getting old and he needed to appoint a new ruler to take his place. And he looked at his children and they wasn't really lining up so good. They were sort of selfish and bratified, and he thought, well, I don't want one of my children to reign in my place. Then he looked at all his assistants and he thought, wow, man, all I see is ambition here. I don't want one of them to take my place. They would be too ambitious and things wouldn't be good. And then he began to look over the youth. And he thought, I will pick one of these young people to be the next ruler. And he met a lot of resistance. But he made a decree that all the youth had to come to the palace. And he said, this time next year, one of you will be the new emperor. And there was a little boy there, his name was Ling, and he was really taking all this in. And the emperor decided, I'm going to give each one of you a seed. And I want you to plant this seed and bring back what come up next year. So Ling takes his seed, he guards it real precious, and he takes it home and he tells his mom all about it, and she gets this big pot and potting soil, and they plant the seed. And she tells him how to water it and how to take care of it. Well, after about 2 weeks, the seed didn't germinate. So Ling's a little bit distraught. So he goes out and he talks to all the other kids. They said, yeah, our plants come up. They're doing real good. After about a month, Ling's seed still hadn't come up. And he's beginning to get a little bit nervous. But he still waters it, Solomon, every day. He still fools with it every day of his life. He takes it out and sets it out in the sun. And after 2 months, the seed still hadn't germinated. There's still nothing there. And all the other little kids are going, wow, our plants are getting big. They're real big. After about 6 months, Ling's really getting down in the mouth. His seed still hadn't germinated. But all the others are telling how beautiful their plants are. Well, the year quickly passes by and it's time to go stand before the emperor. And Ling don't want to go because he don't have no plant. All he's got is an empty pot. But his mom talks him into going, and he takes the pot. And all the kids see his little pot that don't have a flower in it or a tree or a bush. And they begin to make fun. They begin to ridicule him. And it would be easy to give up and run, but he don't. He stays. And he thought, I'll get in the back of the crowd and nobody will see me, but I'll still be here. The emperor comes and he's looking at all the pretty plants. He said, my, that's a beautiful plant you've got there. Oh, yours looks so good. What is that, a fruit tree? Is that a vegetable? Oh, that's a beautiful flower. And he looks at all the plants that they brought. And he's walking and he's going through it, and he finally gets back to the back row. And he spots Ling's little old pot there that don't have anything in it. He said, guards, get me my boy right now and bring him up here right now. Ling's terrified. He thinks he's going to be executed because he destroyed the seed. The king looks down at Ling and said, this is your next emperor. Well, everybody's shocked. He couldn't even grow a plant. The king said, every seed that I passed out, I boiled that seed so it wouldn't germinate. All of it is when you see your plant, your seed didn't come up, you substituted it with another seed. But Ling was the only one that was honest enough to bring what I gave him. And I can imagine that Ling all of this time has took care of this plant, even though it didn't germinate, even though it didn't look good, he still put the work in it. So Ling became the next emperor. Now we're getting ready to go to the book of Genesis. And before we get there, I'm going to give you a little bit of background. Abraham has passed away. Isaac, his son, is living in the land of Canaan. And there's a famine that's come up on the land. Now Isaac wants to go into the land of Egypt. But God said, don't go to the land of Egypt. But go into the land of the Philistines, where Abimelech is the king of the Philistines. So Isaac obeys God, and he goes into the land of the Philistines, and he begins to set up his home, and begins to put out a garden and his crops. And this is where we're going to start reading. Isaac planted grain and had a good harvest. That same year the Lord blessed him, and Isaac was so successful that he became very rich. In fact, the Philistines were jealous of the large number of sheep, goats, and slaves that Isaac owned. And they stopped up the wells that Abraham's servants had dug before his death. Finally, Abimelech said, Isaac, I want you to leave our country. You have become too powerful to stay here. Isaac left and settled in Gerar Valley, where he cleaned out those wells that the Philistines had stopped up. Isaac also gave each of the wells the same name that Abraham had given them. While his servants were digging in the valley, they found a spring-fed well. But the shepherds of the Gerar Valley quarreled with Isaac's shepherds and claimed the water belonged to them. So the well was named Quarrel because they had quarreled with Isaac. Isaac's servants dug another well, and the shepherds also quarreled about it. So that well was named Jealous. Finally, they dug one more well, and there was no quarreling this time. The well was named Lots of Room because the Lord had given them room and would make them very successful. You know, sometimes in life it gets rough. Sometimes it gets hard. Sometimes we need to rethink our thinking. Sometimes we got to pick up a shovel and dig another well, just like Isaac did. See, now when Isaac's crop began to come in, the Philistines got jealous of him. And adversity come into his life, David. There was trouble coming. They told him to get out of that land. They were afraid of him. So he went and found another place to live in Gerar Valley and dug a well. But the Philistine shepherds said, no, it's not your water, it's our water. Now what was Isaac to do? What was he supposed to do there? Stand up and fight? Or just go on down the road, take the shovel, and dig another well? Isaac chose to go dig another well. And they quarreled again when he found another well. But he kept digging and he kept trying to make things work, and he finally dug one more well, and he named it Plenty of Room because there was no more quarrels. In life, sometimes we face adversity. And I'm going to give you some examples of adversity that I went through, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about myself than I really care to this morning, but I think I need to use this for an example. sometimes adversity in your life will come from an enemy. We all have enemies. We have one big enemy, the devil. But sometimes it comes from people. Adversity sometimes just reaches out and grabs a hold of you and shakes you. I remember in 1995, I had the ideal job. I've always been blue collar all my life, but I had a white collar job. I had an office, I guess, Rick, it was probably about a little over half as big as this year. And I had my own private bathroom, and I had it made. I didn't have no boss. I was the boss of my own little thing there. Fact is, I was boss over the paper machines. If I said the paper wasn't no good, they couldn't sell it. I had a lot of authority. The bottom fell out. Our company sold out. And I was looking not to have a job. But they decided they was going to put me in the labor gang. Now the labor gang's pick and shovel work. It's very blue collar. And I'm apprehensive, David, about going to work my first day in the labor gang. I'm really apprehensive. I'm sort of down in the mouth. I've just lost $8 an hour. The job I was working at paid $8 an hour more than the labor gang did. And I will tell you that's devastating. And I went in and I'm anticipating, I don't know what. I know it's different. It's a different world for me. First day I walk in, there's a few people in there in the break area. And one, you've ever noticed when you walk in a room, you'll know the leader. You'll spot the leader real quick. You will know who that is. I walked in that room and I seen a snarl and I said, oh boy, this is going to be good. That woman looked at me like she could kill me. And I knew, David, I was getting ready to face some adversity. I knew that, man, this is going to get bad. She looked at me and she snarled. She said, you see that chair right there? That's Sally's. That no there's Jim's and that's Jack's. That no there's Poppy's. This one here I'm sitting in is mine. This one right here beside of me, on this side of me, is my husband's chair in the morning. This chair over here is my husband's chair at lunch. Now, her husband didn't work in there. I knew that I was dealing with adversity. A rude person is just going to be hard to get along with. So I figured the best thing I could do, I couldn't leave, I couldn't run, is look adversity in the eye. I looked her in the eye, Solomon, and I said, I said, where I want, when I want, and picked me a chair and sat down. Now, needless to say, that was the beginning of a war that lasted for a long time. This woman was so full of contempt and hate, you couldn't live that woman. I mean, I'm just telling you the truth. Everything that I would do, Solomon, she'd find fault at it. Everything that I would do, she would try to undermine and rat me out. It was every day. After about 2 years of that, we were all sitting in there one day and she began to talk about my past. About things that I had done that wasn't right. About things that my dad had done that wasn't right. In other words, she shook every bones out of the skeleton that was in my closet, David. She didn't leave nothing unturned. One by one, the rest of them got up and left the room. Because they knew confrontation was probably coming. After I had the last one left, I began to speak to this woman. I said, we've all got skeletons in our closet. Everybody here. Including you. Now, would you like me to get in your closet, start digging some bones out, put them out here on this table? She looked up at me, David, and his tears began to stream down her face. She said, no. No, I don't want that. So it got a little bit better for me in there. It got a little bit better in there. But sometimes adversity will come from an enemy. We all face adversity. We all face a problem. Sometimes it comes from a friend. When I first went to work down there, I had all kinds of friends. Started going to church, getting my life straightened up, and friends run out, saw them. It didn't take them long to run out, man. They began to hang little posters up on the wall, Dave. All kinds of little circles with their names in it. One big old square with my name in it. I didn't fit in. I wasn't accepted by the crowd I used to run with. And the church people, they really didn't accept me either. Well, they finally warmed up to me a little bit. The church people. And they began to talk to me a little bit. And about that time, I decided I wanted a relationship with God that went beyond what most people had. I decided I wanted to love Him. I just didn't want to go sit on a pew on Sunday. I didn't just want to say, Lord, I love you. I meant to really love Him. So I began to really love God, David. I mean, He's all I wanted to talk about. He's all I cared about. About drove Doc crazy with this. All I would talk to you about was Jesus and the goodness that He is. Now, my little church friends did not understand that. To them, you just went to church on Sunday and you shut up the rest of the week. But I believe you lived it 24/7. I believe you lifted up the Lord every minute of your day, every second that you had, you was bragging on Him. So I worked down in the basement, and on graveyard we had to go upstairs to get something to eat out of the vending machines. Well, I went up through there, and when I come back, I seen all my little church people lined up blocking the aisle. I said, it's going to get good. You know, I hate to say what I'm going to say. Church people can be some of the cruelest people you ever seen in your life. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. I found a lot of them, man, they have no mercy. I walked back into that crowd, Rick, and they said, do you believe this, and this? That you can walk close to God? I said, I sure do. They told me I was going to go crazy and had a devil in me. I said, praise God. That's what they said about Jesus. But after a while, because I kept digging, they finally come around. But we face adversity. And as David knows, I've had a problem with authority all my life. And I had this foreman. I've had many foremen, but this one was sort of different too. I don't think, you may not know this one, Rick. His name was Elmer. And Elmer, he didn't like church people. He didn't like Christians. He'd chew me out. I was on 311 every day, first of shift. He'd just chew me out for nothing. Well, I thought, man, what am I going to do? I just walk away, try not to lose my temper, totally out of my nature. I just walk away. Next day, it was the same thing. They just blasting me. I sort of walk over here and say, yeah. The third day that he got on me, I had about all I was going to take. I went over there and I walked away from him and I began to pray. He looked at me right real funny, Dale. turned around and walked back into his office. 30 minutes later, the rescue squad's coming. They come up to that office and they haul him out. I didn't see him no more for 4 months. First day back, here he comes, said, I need to talk to you. I said, I guess we're starting round 2 or 3. He said, you know, the last time I worked with you, I chewed you out. I said, yeah. He said, I'm going to promise you one thing. I'll never do that again. I said, what do you mean? He said, after I chewed you out and I laughed and I seen that you was praying, I went in there in that office and I had a case of appendicitis. They had to take my appendix out. I about died. Let me tell you something. If you push up against that adversity, if you trust God, God will fight your battle. He'll fight your battle for you. Amen. Like I said, I was going to tell a lot of tales on myself. I'm going to tell one more. I was walking down the aisle, and we had a new hire. And now this new hire took one look at me and he said, oh God, motorcycle trash. He judged me. And he told one of his co-workers, there's some more of that motorcycle trash. That boy looked at him and said, no, that's one of them gospel singing preachers. Well, he was shocked. He called me over there, and I talked to him about the Lord a little bit, and I turned around and left. About 3 days later, he comes up on my job where I'm working. He said, I've been troubled about you. I said, what do you mean? He said, I've decided you're really, really, really of God, or you're really, really of the devil. I said, pray about it and you'll figure it out. Well, I invited him to come to a church we was going to be at, and we had 4 people saved that night. And I think because I kept digging and kept working, he turned his heart to God too, and realized I wasn't what he thought I was. Sometimes we got to face adversity. Maybe you're dealing with it today. I don't know. Maybe something ain't right going on in your life. But if you look at the Bible, David faced all kinds of adversity, didn't he? David was the youngest son of Jesse. The very youngest son. So he didn't have no high position in the family. David was a shepherd, an outcast. He took care of the sheep. Adversity come in many forms to David. The lion come, the bear come. David got the victory over them. One day Samuel comes and anoints him to be king. The smallest in his daddy's house, an outcast, a shepherd. David slays the giant. Saul becomes jealous and chases him everywhere. There's adversity in his life. He's up against it. He chases him for years and years, trying to kill him. But David won't fight back. Saul dies and David becomes king. And you'd think his adversity's over, but it's not. His son rebels against him and tries to take over the kingdom. David dealt with much adversity, much of it. We all will face adversity. We're all facing it. But we got to decide, are we going to be content just to let it run over you, or pick up the shovel and dig another well? Sometimes we got to do like Isaac did. Sometimes we got to move off a little bit. Don't stop working. Dig, and keep going until you get through. Did you ever think about Joseph? He was his daddy's favorite son, but his brothers hated him. They thrown him in a pit. That is adversity when you're thrown in a pit. They sold him into slavery. You're in some adversity. You're facing trouble. You're facing hurt. They sold him to an Egyptian. Things got a little bit better for a while. Then his wife accused him of trying to assault her. They throw him into prison. That's adversity when you're in the prison. Let me tell you, it's trouble. But the Lord used that to bless him, and he becomes second in command in all the land of Egypt. We sometimes face adversity. Sometimes we face trouble. You know, they used to tell you, it's like you go get saved and everything's going to be great, smooth sailing. No, it's not. You're going to run into some storms. But you got somebody that you can trust. The Apostle Paul was shipwrecked. He was beaten. He was stoned. He went through all kinds of adversity in his life. But he come through on the other side, didn't he? Maybe you're going through adversity today. Maybe you're facing something. Maybe you're going through something you don't understand. And maybe it seems like no matter how hard you try, you can't get victory over it. There's victory only in Jesus. That's the only place you'll find victory is in Him. Maybe you're going through something like that today, and maybe you just need to come and give it to the Lord. He'll take care of every problem you got. I can tell you, Dale's always been faithful. I've seen many things in my life, and God's brought me through them because He loves us. He loves you. If you're going through some junk today, why don't you give it